A new report from a team of former ambassadors lays out a blueprint for modernizing the U.S. Foreign Service. Michael Polt is Arizona State University ambassador in residence and a former U.S. ambassador to Serbia and Montenegro and Estonia. Mr. Ambassador, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Very nice to be here with you.
So this new report is called the American Diplomacy Project Phase 2. What was in Phase 1?
Several colleagues of mine got together at the Belfer Center at Harvard University last year and came up with a set of recommendations, 10 recommendations, in fact, to help modernize the U.S. diplomatic service. Out of those 10 recommendations, two of my former colleagues approached me at ASU a few months ago, earlier on this year, and said, we'd like to take this now to a phase 2, an implementable set of blueprints that we can actually go ahead and propose to put into action to help modernize the service that our former colleagues are now serving in.
So what would you say are the major shortcomings of the U.S. diplomatic corps that this report would address?
I want to be careful when I say shortcomings, because we are very respectful and deeply appreciative of our current serving colleagues who are doing critical and important work for our nations. What we've done is we've taken 4 of the 10 recommendations from the Harvard Belfer Center report from last year and identified 4 core areas which are particularly important to focus on. One is the mission and mandate of the Foreign Service, the leadership of the Foreign Service, the leadership of our whole of government effort in advancing U.S. diplomatic efforts. Then we talked about personnel and human resources availability, training of the human resource of the diplomatic service, and finally, very, very importantly, the creation of a reserve force similar to our military reserves that allows the Foreign Service to have a surge capacity to provide additional resources when there's additional needs.
I wanted to ask you about that specifically, this creation of a National Diplomatic Reserve Corps. Tell me how that would work.
As you know, right now we have no surge capacity. If there is an exceptional need in our service, we basically have to rob Peter to pay Paul. We have to go ahead and take from existing resources and existing diplomatic missions to go ahead and staff up an extraordinary effort, such as the visa issuance in the Afghanistan withdrawal, and various other kinds of contingencies, be they in the Ukraine crisis or whatever. What we're trying to do is to propose a blueprint for the creation of a fairly modest, but nevertheless significant 1,000 person contingent of capacity that could be ready and put into place just like our military reserves are when a surge need is identified, and to go ahead and provide that capacity. It would be taken up, it would be composed by both former Foreign Service officers who already have a certain skill set within the foreign affairs family, as well as outside specialists who bring additional capacity to the Foreign Service that is so important in a 21st century setting.
So another component of the report is enhancing the authority, responsibility, and accountability of U.S. ambassadors worldwide. Tell me a little bit more about that. What would that involve?
Mimi, you know, that is really, really a critical element of the entire effort. And that is, it's all about leadership and trust in professionalism in leadership. What we want to make sure of that as we put our ambassadors in place, as our leaders in the field, in our nation's foreign policy, that they are both equipped with the training, with a professional background, with the experience, the resources, and the authorities and responsibilities and accountability for leading in the field. Every one of our ambassadors gets a letter from the President of the United States. I received those twice during my career, in which the President points out, these are your responsibilities, Madam or Mr. Ambassador. This is what I want you to do to lead all the U.S. government efforts in your country of responsibility. We need to make sure that the people we put into those places are the ones best equipped to lead that effort.
You know, the report also proposes, quote, a stronger relationship between America's diplomats and the American public. So why does that relationship need to be strengthened, and how would you do it?
You know, the American people are all of us working in government are our ultimate bosses, our supervisors. They are the stakeholders in America's foreign policy. And I think that it's certainly in my 35-year career in the Foreign Service, I wished I'd had more opportunity to relate to my fellow citizens those things that I was working on, and take in their commentary on how our foreign policy should be conducted, and making sure that there's a connection between what we do for America in far-flung places around the world and what Americans consider important to them in terms of what our foreign policy should be. And we've had various efforts in the past to do this on an ad hoc basis. What we're doing in our blueprints is to go ahead and systematize this and make it a mandatory part of our responsibility to connect to the American people who are the stakeholders of our foreign policy.
All right, Ambassador Michael Polt, thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you very much, Mimi. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.